What fact could probably save your life? If you're scuba diving and you're going to vomit, puke right into the regulator. Don't take the regulator out of your mouth because after you vomit the natural instinct is to inhale. The puke will blow out of the exhaust valve with your bubbles. We did a discovery dive and were not taught about this. Thankfully we were only a few feet down. It could have been one of those life-changing days. Chemical burns are not like fire or heat burns. Many will not immediately trigger a reflex action of pain. I lost a chunk of skin under my armpit because an industrial cleaner dripped under my rain suit. I had rinsed off my arm and didn't receive so much as redness, but 30 minutes later I noticed my shirt was soaked in blood. No pain till the next day, and by then a quarter-size piece of skin had fallen off. Read the labels and remove any chemical as quickly as possible using the recommended method. Water is not always the best way. Please, for the love of God, read the label before you start using the product. It's way easier to know how to remove the chemical before it's in your eyes and can see, or in some other emergency situation. Oftentimes when your skin is burning or dissolving, your first instinct isn't to start reading. Purple flags at the beach mean dangerous sea life in the area. Most people understand the other flags, but purple can be confusing. I don't understand any of the flags. If you get trapped on thin ice, lie down on your stomach and wiggle your way back to shore from the direction you got there from. Chances are if the ice held you then when you were standing up, it will continue to hold you with your weight dispersed over more surface area. Also, ice is often thinnest at the edges. If you walk across a solid sheet of ice, it's quite possible that your inward path was frozen just fine, but the outward path you're just getting to the opposite shore could be weak. If you're on or close to train rails, trains move faster than they appear to. If you're on train tracks, be somewhere else. Blokes, check your nuts once a week and don't be afraid to go to the doctors if you notice something. I had a scare earlier this year and I put it off for a while before plucking up the courage to go to the doctors. I was an idiot for waiting, but I just felt like I didn't want to have a doctor check out my balls. Turned out all clear and I walked out of the doctors thinking this really wasn't as bad as I expected. The old cliche is true. Doctors have seen a million dongs. Yours isn't any different. I spoke to my dad about it before my appointment and he tried to reassure me. After my appointment he said, when I was your age I went to the doctors for the same thing. What? If he had just told me he'd had the same, maybe I would have gone sooner or felt less bad about it. I then told my good friend and he chuckled, "Oh man, I've been to the docs for that too. It's so goddamn common you wouldn't even believe. More often than not it's not cancer, but if it is then tackle it head on. If you're a parent, brother, friend, please break the ice with someone about this topic. You could save a life. Let's not freaking think it's something we can't talk about. Anyone close to me now knows I've been to the docs for this, on the off chance it happens for them. Even if 1% of you isn't sure about what's on your nuts, then please get checked. It'll always be in the back of your mind if you go through life without reassurance. If anybody needs to talk, then message me. I am more than happy to share my experience and give any advice I can. In the event you need to break a car door window, don't try to smash the window dead center. Car door windows should be tempered glass, which are much more brittle along their edges, so strike there instead. If you're near the ocean and all that water suddenly disappears, recedes unexpectedly, then get out of there and get to high ground because that's a tsunami. If you see a bear cub, a very angry mother isn't too far behind. Eunice, what did I tell you about staring at baby bears? I really don't know how she always finds me. I don't even know how she knows my name. I read a story about the people who clean up bodies after they jump off of the Golden Gate Bridge. Most people don't die on impact, but the injuries they sustain kill them shortly afterwards, or they drown slowly in miserable pain from the massive internal damage. There is this story about one person who jumped and as they let go regretted the decision. They ended up living remarkably, but they had significant internal injuries and many broken bones. The fact, you don't always die on impact when jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. The few people who have lived all state they regretted it the second they let go. The quote from the jumper that lives still gets me. Something like, "As I was falling, the thing going through my mind was, of all the mistakes I've made, this is the only one I can't fix." Stay safe and keep moving forward, y'all. Reach out, reach in, whatever it takes. Remember, there are people out there you don't even know that love you. If you get lost in the woods, stay where you are. The chances of finding the way out on your own are pretty slim and you're just creating a larger search area for SAR. Also, tell people exactly where you're going and when you'll be home. If you're not home by X time, instruct someone to call for help. The rule is, if you think you're lost, you have to sit down for 5 minutes. A lot of people get worried and start wandering in random directions looking for the trail, which gets them more lost and more worried. Oftentimes a little sit down can help clear the head and let you remember details more clearly. If your car's accelerator pedal gets stuck or something else is causing unintended acceleration, put it in neutral. It sounds obvious, but it's hard to remember when it happens and it won't be instinct. Turning the key to off works but could cause the steering to lock or loss of brakes. If a guard dog comes at you, look to one side and slowly turn around, then walk away. If a dog hunts you, scream before it reaches you and fight if it didn't scare. The first has saved me from 2 Rottweilers once. Don't escalate confrontations, even if they've hurt your pride or made you look bad in front of others. There are people out there that don't care about going to prison and or don't care about fair fights. That a wagging tail does not always mean that the dog is friendly. Maybe he's just really excited he gets to rip your guts out. There is a time to leave, to stop, to walk away. It can save your life. Listen to your gut. If you're ever swimming and find yourself in a position where you're too exhausted to continue but have no flotation device, turn on your back and float. Or get back out the pool ya plank. Flammable and inflammable mean the same thing. There is an Airbnb listing in my street that offers an inflammable bed. I laugh every time I read that listing. Former 911 operator here. Don't feel bad about calling 911, unless it's very stupid like McDonald's screwed up your order. If it's not an emergency, they'll tell you to call non-emerg. An emergency is not just a violent crime, it's a crime or potential crime in progress, issue affecting safety, or medical emergency or fire department issue too. Also, teach your non-English speaking family the word for their language in English in case they need to call 911. Sleep with the door closed. Fires while you sleep can leave your room almost completely untouched if closed. Whether you're being attacked or taken, always remember to scratch the bejesus out of the person. This way you'll have their DNA under your nails. Probably won't save your life by this point, but it will identify your attacker once you have been recovered by law enforcement, dead or alive. I haven't seen this one yet, but don't follow a crowd. If you think something is wrong, act. I've heard that people whose intuition said something was wrong and acted on it typically got to safety whereas their counterparts did not. I usually heard this in the context of shipwrecks and other major situations where people assumed, wrongly, that because others weren't acting that they still had time. Thus simply isn't true. If you sense something is wrong, go. Don't follow the crowd. There is that video from inside a nightclub as a fire broke out. The cameraman booked it out while everyone else stood around. He made it out and the building was engulfed in flames within minutes, killing a lot of people. Since winter is coming, if you feel yourself sweating while outside, take a layer or 2 off, and make your first layer is moisture wicking if you can. Sweat will cause hypothermia if you don't go inside. It's kinda funny, when I go to shovel the driveway, I feel quite warm, and at some point the jacket goes off and I'm left with a long sleeve shirt. Feels great. At elevation, if your hair suddenly stands on end, duck and cover. Lightning is about to strike. Can't imagine how scary that must feel knowing you may be struck. Most drunk driving deaths occur on Saturday night between 1 and 3 AM. Avoid the roads during these times if you can help it. Well, that sucks cause I deliver pizzas in a college town and I usually close. Domino's closes at 3 AM. Wanna thank everyone that told me stay safe, shout out you guys. And thanks for the tips on how to stay safe as well. If an armed person tries to rob you, give them your money, phone, whatever. In fact, take it out slowly and carefully, drop it and back away. Then, if you can, run. If they try to force you to go with them, put up a massive fight and yell fire fire fire. 1. People will generally run to help fight a fire. They are not so keen to intervene when you are shouting murder. 2. Never go to the secondary location with a robber. That is where you get murdered or violated, or both. Hopefully the bad guy with a gun doesn't interpret fire as a challenge. If you are on fire, don't run. Stop, drop, and roll. You know, growing up I assumed people catching on fire was a common phenomenon considering how often I was reminded to stop, drop, and roll. Sadly, I've yet to have the chance to enact the lessons of my youth. Some winter advice. If you are homeless, or for whatever reason have to sleep outside, find something to put between you and the ground. Cardboard works great, but find something. All your energy will not warm the earth, and many people have frozen this way as the ground absorbs more and more energy. I'm a winter hiker, and one thing we drill into people who hike in the winter is if you're warm you need to take a layer off. You want to be cool. Sweating is bad. If you hit your head really hard and get unusually sleepy within 6 hours afterwards, go get a scan. It seems like a lot of people are really in the dark about this. It's not about concussion. It's about hitting your head so hard that you get internal bleeding in your skull, which will clot, after which you will die. So stop commenting about how you got your bell rung playing football and slept it off. That's an entirely different thing. If you have a grease fire, put it out with baking soda, not water. Some things about flour. Flour is combustible and not safe to use. Some people have commented that they have put out fires with flour, and it is possible. If you take the bag, flip it all out at once as close to the pot as you can, I'm sure it would be successful at smothering it. Due to its combustible nature though, nearly anything would be better to use. Salt, kitty litter, sand, dirt. If for some reason you had to use flour, don't pour it out incrementally, and don't pour it out in a way that will create a dust cloud. Pour it out so it falls together and quickly. Also, the best thing to use is of course a ABC fire extinguisher. This advice is in lieu of that, or if it's too far away, putting the lid will also work fine if the fire is small enough. You don't want to put a lid on a huge fire though, or you can create a backdraft of sorts in the pan and it'll flare up when you open it. And if that grease fire is in a pan, cover it with the lid. If you vomit coffee grounds or poop tar, go to the doctor immediately. If your vomit poop look like these things, it means you're bleeding internally. Coffee grounds are a result of bleeding in your stomach. Tar is a result of bleeding in your intestines. There are foods that will make you poop like this. Red wine and Oreos have been mentioned a lot, but you should know this just to be safe. If your vomit poop look like coffee grounds tar. How to recognize when someone is drowning. Silence. While someone who is shouting is on the verge of drowning and will likely need rescuing, it's the person thrashing about in the water not making any vocal sounds you need to worry about. When someone is actually drowning, their lungs are filling up with water, inhibiting their inability to call for help. Wary face. Anyone who has long hair knows that when it gets wet and it sticks to your face, the immediate reaction is to swipe it away. Not for a drowning person. When someone is actually drowning, all power is devoted to saving themselves. The issue of wet hair across the face is not a priority. Keep an eye out for someone in the water splashing about, but not immediately reaching to remove their hair from out their eyes. All credit goes to the Stuff You Should Know podcast. Also, if you need to save someone without the aid of a flotation device, only if absolutely necessary, please don't do this if at all possible. Come from behind them and put your arms under their armpits. Less chance of them shoving you under or hitting you in the face. Bleach and ammonia make poison gas. The general form of this is to read labels of cleaning products, don't mix them, and follow the warnings for using adequate ventilation and protective gear. If you're ever stuck in quicksand, lie down. It's like floating on water. The dispersion of your weight will make you float. Though I admit this isn't as common a problem as I was led to believe as a child. 8 people die a year in grain elevators because of this effect, so useful if you're a farmer. If you're on an airplane that crashes into water, don't inflate your life vest until after you have swum out of the plane. If you inflate your flotation device before escaping, you are much more likely to get trapped in the fuselage as water levels inside the plane rise and you get pushed towards the ceiling. Find your life jacket, get out of the plane, then inflate it. For anyone who agreed to just listen to the safety briefing, but of the last dozen or so flights I've been on, this was only mentioned on one of them. It may be different if you're flying over bodies of water that are bigger than the English Channel though. It would make sense if flights over actual oceans focused more on what to do in watery situations. But in any case, yes, listen to the safety presentation. There's loads of other stuff in there that will save your life too. I was on a flight from Brussels to Monrovia and this super annoying kid behind me inflated his life jacket mid-flight. We nearly had to make an emergency landing in Timbuktu if they didn't have any more. Luckily they did. They're dang serious about that stuff. If you are trying to decide whether to drink the unsafe nature water or risk the dehydration, giardia takes 5 days to set in, renal failure can take less than 5 hours, so if it comes down to it and you can get to safety soon, a few days, risk the water. A week of spewing from both ends from the safety of your own home is better than dying of dehydration. Also, chugging water can make you sick. You also need to replace the electrolytes. Do anything you can to provide electrolytes if you chug half a gallon or more. Back when I was a junkie I had giardia once. It was absolute heck. Was pretty sure I was going to die. Puked up any water I drank. Was crapping non-stop. My best advice, read this thread and familiarize yourself with the situations within. Now avoid ever putting yourselves in these situations. Don't go outside. Check. Don't stay inside. Check. Getting bitten by any unfamiliar animal, be it a stray dog or wild squirrel, can cause rabies. Always go in to get a shot. Rabies has no symptoms until it reaches your brain, then it's too late. Thank you for informing me that squirrels cannot be a vector for rabies. I'll just leave this here to clarify. A woman shouldn't have to be hit by a car to learn that she has rabies. If you are about to get run over, jump. Your shoes have a lot of friction. It'll break your legs and pull you under the wheels. Assume that people driving may do the stupidest thing possible for any given situation, and prepare for it. When I was learning to drive, my dad told me drive as if everyone on the road is actively trying to kill you. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.